How's it going, everyone? This is your Astrology Horoscope for the weekend of March 9th and 10th, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moon Base. Hope you guys had a wonderful week. Happy weekend. It's great to be here with all of you. I really appreciate all of you being here. If you're new here, subscribe to this channel. Like this video, share this video, tell your friends. Find me on Instagram and Spotify. If you want to book a reading, the link to my booking website is in the description of this video with all the links to my other platforms as well. And you can find me there. So this weekend, the moon in its balsamic phase coming in on Saturday, right before this new moon in Pisces. Mars squaring Uranus. This is the trigger. This is the trigger point. This has been a lot of buildup. Uranus has been hit multiple times by multiple planets and the sun over the past month, since the end of January, really. We've been feeling this. And this is the last planet in Aquarius that's going to square Uranus. So Uranus is positing Mars and Venus still. This is a very important transit as the new moon is building up here. So with the moon in its balsamic phase, it's going to conjunct Saturn here coming in on Saturday, while Mars is squaring Uranus. And Mercury, I think this is very significant, off that conjunction with Neptune, 29 degrees here. So I feel like the message here, yes, this Mars square Uranus is a massive trigger. Our lives are changing very quickly and very rapidly. We're being forced to find new ways of doing things in our lives. Definitely forced to make massive changes, and it can be very uncomfortable. This weekend could be quite a shock in our personal lives and in the world. I mean, we've been seeing things build up all week, but at the same time, with this Mercury at the last degree of Pisces, it's like, it's really saying to all of us, like, how have we evolved spiritually through all the chaos, right? This Mars square Uranus can be very chaotic this weekend, and quite intense and volatile, especially with Pluto behind all of this, in the shadows, lurking, forcing an evolution. This is a forced evolution here. But at the same time, with this moon on Saturn, as this is all happening at once, and Mercury is at the last degree of Pisces, we gotta always remind ourselves that the last degree of Pisces, it's the last degree of the zodiac before the new beginning, right? This is some very heavy emotions here. This is very heavy stuff, but also, really a big emotional test. If we can handle how fast we need to adapt and change and make changes, and with Uranus and Taurus, it's always forcing us to shake up where we're comfortable. If we're too comfortable, Uranus and Taurus is going to shake us up. Taurus wants to be comfortable. Uranus wants to take it all and just, shake it up and see where things land and find new ways of doing things and experimenting. And, this Mars, Mars could be volatile. It's a malefic planet. So when it squares Uranus like this, it really can trigger massive change in our lives. And whatever that's going to look like, I think it's connected to this moon in its dark phase, conjunct Saturn. It can feel like a big spiritual test, massive spiritual test. And it could be easy to let the emotions kind of overwhelm us, but we have to remind ourselves, we just came off this Mercury-Neptune conjunction. So what message spiritually have we gotten through this whole Mercury transit in Pisces? We want to keep that in mind as things can get really intense with this Mars square Uranus on Saturday and Sunday. We just have to keep that in mind. Even if we can keep a level head through kind of the weight of things this weekend, Moon Saturn conjunction to me is one of the hardest placements to have in your natal chart personally. I just every time I do a reading with somebody and I see Moon Saturn conjunction, it's always a very difficult chart, and a difficult experience. I have no people personally in my family who have this. I've just seen it a lot of times. So, we want to know that this is a spiritual test and that we want to pass the test, right? So we want to, adapt very quickly and keep reminding ourselves that this is all for a reason, this is all for a purpose. And then once we get to the new moon, come Sunday, we can feel like, okay, like we're feeling refreshed, we've got the message, we're passing the test, and we're moving on to the next phase here. By Sunday, the sun's going to be at 20 degrees, so it's going to be in the third decan of Pisces, and the sun is on its way to refresh itself and restart and come into Aries season with a whole new way of looking at things. But, as much change and rapid growth as we've had with all planets direct at the beginning of 2024, we're going into eclipse season. This is the last new moon before the eclipses, right? And especially with this moon-Saturn conjunction before the moon conjuncts with the sun, with this new moon, like we want to really be paying attention to things and really cleaning up where we've overlooked things. This Saturn in Pisces really is a spiritual test of faith, and also being cautious about our environment, and because the opposite of Pisces is Virgo, which is Mercury ruled. So it's all about our environment. And this Mercury at the last degree of Pisces, it's like, man, have we kept things clean? Have we kept things sanitary? How's our health? How's our mental health? How's our spiritual health? Like this is very Virgo Pisces axis here, so we want to take into account all these things. And I think, if we want to throw it in here, and I know some of you like to use Lilith, I do here and there, but there can be some dark feelings coming up. The sun opposing Lilith on this new moon, there can be some dark things coming up, and it's a spiritual test. This is a massive spiritual test with Saturn and Pisces and the moon conjunct Saturn before this is all happening. And definitely some shocks coming in here with Mars square Uranus. And this is a very intense new moon. This isn't a light and fluffy new moon, and neither are these eclipses that are coming after this. So, we want to be able to stay in reality as much as possible. That's what this moon Saturn is also reminding us, is that, like as far out as we've gone with all these Aquarius and Pisces transits, and definitely with this Mercury Neptune conjunction we just went through, this moon-Saturn conjunction is quite a reality check before this new moon. Thank God it's happening before this new moon, so we can, understand where we do need to keep our reality in check and really focus on our reality and our physical area just around us. I think it's really easy in Pisces season to really get far out. And that's a good thing. But at the same time, like the Saturn is here with the sun and the moon, Neptune and Mercury. I mean, we have 5 planets, 5 bodies. Moon and sun are not planets; they're luminaries. But we have 5 bodies here in Pisces. So this Neptune is the strongest planet in the zodiac. It is dominating. With this moon-Saturn conjunction, with this new moon, we want to be able to break through the illusion, the deception. I definitely know that with this Mercury-Neptune conjunction, we definitely came across a lot of wonderful, beautiful spiritual messages that have been delivered to us, but also a lot of illusions that we have to face, and possibly deceptions that we have to face and break through, and get to the truth here, and I think we're going to find truth is whenever we're able to operate on that high spiritual frequency, but also have a healthy physical reality and fulfill our responsibilities, take on new responsibilities. And I think too, with this Mars square Uranus, while the moon and Saturn are conjunct, there might be some new responsibilities coming into our lives that we're going to have to take on, and sacrifice a little bit. This new moon is bringing up a lot of sacrifice here, Where do we have to sacrifice ourselves in order to serve the bigger picture here and the greater good, or whatever is going on in your personal life? There's definitely some sacrifice that must be taken into account here, and this moon will trine Jupiter as well, or sextile Jupiter. So, I mean, I think as well, our beliefs and the way we've been tested so much, I think we can really notice an expansion in our beliefs through all this chaos, right? I think our beliefs have been challenged so much with all these Aquarius planets squaring over to Jupiter. But, I definitely feel like, when the moon and Jupiter get together like this and really can support each other, it's like, wow, we can really notice our spiritual, philosophical growth here and a whole different perspective, and how our perspective has expanded in a really beautiful way. But it definitely is not short of any sort of trial and, trial by fire, right? Even though we don't have any planets in fire signs at all. We have 0 planets in fire signs. We're not counting the North Node and Chiron. Those are not planets. So we don't have much fire. So it can feel like it's hard to really get things going. But definitely with the moon and Saturn together, and with the moon and Jupiter here, it's like, what have we already been expanding? What have we already been building upon? That's connected to our beliefs and our material world that we want to expand, but from a spiritual place and from a higher frequency. I definitely think that, we could witness a spiritual growth before this new moon here, and definitely that's connected to our partnerships and possibly things that we are really, really connected to. And there could be this kind of mirroring through our partnerships, and possibly if you're married, I mean, there can be a mirroring effect of like, wow, like we've really helped each other evolve in our beliefs, in our spirituality, in our philosophies in life, and how we see the world and what we want to expand in the world. I think our partnerships can kind of mirror how either one has grown and evolved and expanded in a really healthy, beautiful way, but really through some very intense transits that we've gone through since 2024 has kicked off, right? I mean, we've had some really amazing transits through January and February, but while these amazing, beautiful transits are going on, there's always this intensity that has been connected with Aquarius and Pluto, no matter what positive transits we've been going through. So, I think our beliefs can be mirrored by our partnerships today, and how they've expanded, but also like recognizing that, wow, like it hasn't been easy. This has not been easy at all. It's been amazing, but it has not been easy, and by the time we get to this new moon here, I think it's amazing because as the sun will sextile Uranus right before the new moon happens, and then when this new moon does happen at 20 degrees, the moon will sextile Uranus. So yeah, as quickly and as difficult the changes can be with this Mars, and definitely when Venus squared Uranus, I mean, I think now we can start to feel the positive effects and the positive result of what intense, rapid change we've had to evolve and go through. And definitely we gotta keep in mind too that Aquarius and Uranus, Aquarius, not Uranus, they were Saturn co-ruled Capricorn and Aquarius before Uranus was discovered. So, I think where we wanted to really make changes in our lives and, somewhat start a revolution or, make a difference in the world, make a change in the world, I think now we could start to see like, okay, like, it's not necessarily about changing the world and, being able to forcefully change the dynamic of the power structures, which is Saturn and Capricorn, and traditionally with Aquarius too. I have always said, in relation to Saturn ruling Capricorn and Aquarius, it's like Capricorn makes the rules, Aquarius breaks the rules, right? So we've definitely have torn down the walls and have broke through where we've just been stuck. That's what this feels like. This Mars squaring Uranus has just totally penetrated where we have felt stuck and where we have been limited, where we've limited ourselves. And now with this new moon at 20 degrees, off a sextile to Uranus, where it's like, wow, like, okay, even though it was difficult, it was actually a positive outcome here. That's the thing. Because these squares have happened at 19 degrees to Uranus with Mars and Venus and the Sun and Mercury in Aquarius. And I think it's really an amazing thing that right before this new moon, the Sun and the Moon are going to sextile Uranus as Mars made it square to Uranus, which is very uncomfortable and definitely, enforcing big change in our lives, and it could be very uncomfortable. That as this new moon happens, that the Moon and the Sun at 20 degrees and Mars also at 20 degrees. So it's like the sextile happens with the Sun and the Moon, and then Mars also moves to 20 degrees. I just think that the message here is that, like, wow, like we've gone through such intensity through all these Aquarius transits with Uranus involved here, with Pluto, behind the scenes, is that it just has felt like we've just been pulled all over the fucking map, right? We just have, it's like, man, we are not in control. Like, it's just one shift and change after another. The volatility in the world going on with all the crazy shit and, with all the wars and just all the propaganda and everything, I mean, that reflects our personal lives as well, the outer world. So it's like, wow, the results of how crazy and wild things have been and how much we've wanted to really just, shake shit up, but also had to ride the wave of how things are being shaken up beyond our control, I mean, there's definitely a relationship of us feeling like we're stuck, but also the change when it occurs is definitely always unexpected. So I think this new moon is highlighting how the outcome of that was actually a positive outcome, right? And a very beautiful thing, and a very beautiful spiritual evolution that we've gone through. So, and I think it's really amazing too. What I really think is great about this new moon coming off all these intense squares to Uranus is that there's a really big evolution here that now Neptune at 27, as this new moon happens, Mercury, 0 degrees of Aries, Mars 20 degrees off its square to Uranus. Saturn now at 11 degrees. I think it just said that. But it's like, wow, we're really moving forward, not just with this new moon, but, multiple planets now at different stages, all at the same time, right? And I think that's really phenomenal. And right after that, Jupiter comes to 13 degrees as well. So there's this massive forward momentum that this new moon is bringing us, and it can feel very refreshing. And I think, Saturday, it can feel like, fuck, like shit is just way beyond our control. We really got to face our responsibilities and really take shit seriously. And by the time you get to this new moon, right before this new moon, it just feels like things are just it's all over. We just need to give the fuck up. And then all of a sudden there is this all at once, like multiple bodies, not just this new moon. It's just things just really start to feel like they're moving forward and say, oh, okay, we got over the other side of things now. I think this new moon is probably one of the best new moons of the year. I said this in my 2024 horoscope. This is a really great new moon, especially coming off that Mercury-Neptune conjunction. I think spiritually, we've grown so much, like more than we have in a very long time in a very short amount of time. Like it's been exponential in a very short amount of time. So, this new moon is really great. We want to, start new. We want to start a new phase here, and really make spiritual commitments. And get down to the root of our subconscious fears, our subconscious patterns that we really want to change and make changes, but it's been very difficult. Now I think we can feel like, okay, like there is momentum to make these changes here, and we can really start to get to the other side of things and really make a difference and start to observe, because in Pisces, in Pisces season, it's more of an observation, it's more of getting outside of our physical bodies and looking inward at the whole situation. So I think this new moon can give us that perspective. And now that Mercury is out of Pisces, I think mentally we can come back online here. Don't forget, Mercury's going to retrograde in Aries. So Mercury now on its way, Mercury's going to be the first planet slowing down here, but I think it'll definitely be needed. But when Mercury's coming into Aries through this new moon too, it's like our minds are going to be just ready to fucking go. Now we got some fire. Our minds can start to light up, heat up, and really just want to go, mentally. So, yeah, this new moon is really wonderful. But leading up to this new moon, it can feel like it's hard to hold on, and it can feel like you just want to give up and fuck it all, right? That's not the case coming in after this new moon on Sunday afternoon. So, we definitely want to keep a level head here, because there really is a better outcome on the other side of this new moon, because things have been really chaotic, and it's hard to accept change, right? For a lot of people, especially if you're fixed signs. You got a lot of fixed signs in your chart, it can be hard to accept how things can just really change quickly, especially with Uranus and Taurus. A Taurus rising, Venus, I get it. I understand deeply. So, and I've personally experienced a lot of shifts and changes in my life since November. It's been wild, and I know a lot of you can say the same. So, definitely after this new moon, we can start to see why things have taken the route that they've taken and why things have gone the way they have gone, but also start to let go of some of the shit and the baggage that we've been holding on. I think with Pisces, it's always the test to, let go of baggage, right? Clean out the gutters, clean out the closet. And now we have a planet now in Aries. So, we could really start to feel this refreshing new energy with this new moon here. But also take care of yourself spiritually. Get more rest than ever. I think it's a good opportunity to get some rest on this new moon on a Sunday. Because when we come into Monday with Mercury and Aries, it's like we're ready to fucking go, and we're going to be getting so much new information and new ideas coming in. It's like, I want to do this. I want to start that. I want to, just when all the ideas and thoughts start flooding to you, just and whatever things you want to start, just make sure you finish them, right? Because Aries can start shit, but can it finish? We have the Two of Cups for this new moon here. So, I think as crazy as things have been, especially with Venus not so connected, I think this can be a very positive outcome in exchange for a little bit some sacrifice, right? Like this Two of Cups always reminds me of a sacrifice. When there's a union, there's a sacrifice. I'm giving a part of myself to another person, whether it's any sort of relationship, any sort of connection, any sort of partnership too. But, I think as well, it's like it's coming from a higher place, and everything is interconnected. I think this is also reminding us of that, no person and no soul that comes into contact with each other it's a random thing. I think, it's connected to our DNA, our genetics, our past lives. There can be some past life scenarios that really pop up. I mean, that's what Pisces season always brings up as well, is, past life karma, past life situations, clearing past life scenarios, and definitely that being reflected through our partnerships. And, I think we can definitely unify with whatever person or idea or, spiritual belief within you. I think unity and connection is what this new moon is really bringing us. A big clearing, a massive clearing. We've gone through so much, a lot of intensity. Now I think this new moon is bringing on a new chapter, because it's been a long buildup with all these Aquarius planets squaring Uranus and through the Pluto ingressing into the Aquarius. Now we're starting to move into a new phase post new moon, as we see all these planets really moving into their next phases of their transits. So, anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful new moon. This is definitely a great one, but don't forget, before the new moon really hits, it could feel pretty wild. It could feel pretty crazy. And by the time we get through the new moon, we'll feel much more understanding, and have more understanding, and have more compassion for ourselves, and maybe where we haven't followed through with things, and being easy on ourselves and not being so harsh and critical, and accepting that it's okay. Like, now we can have a clearer vision and make better choices and build a better future. And definitely through this new moon, I think it's going to be a wonderful refresh for us coming through January and February with how intense things have been. So have a great weekend, and I will see you all on Monday. Peace out.